Welcome, everyone, to the Standout Job Seeker podcast presented by Jobscan. I'm your host, Sydney Myers, and this is a very special episode because it's the first time we're going to be doing video along with audio in the interview. So I'm joined by Marta Budzyńska. Congratulations on being my first video guest. I don't have a prize for you, but you're the first, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for everyone that's listening, so if you're listening to audio only on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else, it will still be audio there. If you want to watch the video, you can watch it on our YouTube channel, or Spotify actually has video podcasts now, so you can watch the video there too. But I'll try to keep this audio friendly, so if there's anything that happens where maybe the video will be necessary, I'll be sure to point it out. But for the most part, we'll make sure that you don't miss anything while you're listening to the audio. So I'm really excited about this interview. Again, I'm joined by Marta Budzyńska. Sorry for messing up your name. She is a career coach as well as a former recruiter, so she's going to have a lot of insights to share. Marta, thanks for being here. I'm going to give you a chance first to introduce yourself to the audience, give people a background on what your expertise is and your career as a recruiter. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me, Sydney. I'm very, very excited. I feel like career is all the time topic that we need to learn more about how to develop it. So I'm very excited to speak about it as well. So I'm certified career coach, previously recruiter for over 5 years in big tech and Amazon, but as well on the side of agency. Usually and mostly of all those experiences, I've been recruiting for quite the most senior roles across Europe. So that's also kind of the niche that I'm working with right now as a career coach. And that's an exciting journey. I also did quit Amazon literally 7 months ago. So yeah, it's not really long time ago that I made this, let's say, bold move and went to follow my own mission, my career.
Interesting. Now, so in your time at Amazon, I've heard that they have a pretty stringent, I guess is the right word, hiring process. What is that, like your role as a recruiter, what all are you doing through that hiring process? Like what is it like there?
Right. So that's a good question. I think big tech in general have very specific recruitment process, and those are indeed quite difficult to get into. I even experienced it first as a candidate with all the week of preparation, but then as well, of course, from recruiter side. So I think definitely it's important to follow specific methods of answering questions, of preparation for those job interviews. But it's definitely possible to prepare to night those job interviews. So I know it might seem like hurry, but everything is doable 100%.
Interesting. Am I right or am I thinking about something else, that they actually have a program where they give candidates coaching, like interview prep coaching before they go into the job interview? Is that right?
Yeah. So in many cases, from as far as I know, for almost all cases, those companies like Amazon, Google, they have those preparation. It's for quite different levels of jobs. So it's not only there is preparation for entry-level jobs or extremely senior, like every level. Obviously, then the preparation is slightly different because the needs are different. But yeah, I think without this preparation, it might be quite difficult to really follow all these steps. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I wish that every company did that. But it's also awesome because what we're going to talk about in this conversation is the job interview. So how to build confidence and your communication skills to really nail that interview. So I'm really excited to hear your insights as a recruiter, a career coach, and someone who has been on that side of training and coaching people for how to prep for an interview as a recruiter. I think you'll have a lot of helpful insights. So let's jump right in. And I just want to start high level. So during your time as a recruiter, when you're interviewing people and you have some people who are great, you come away with it, you're like, wow, that was a great interview. And some who didn't really do as well. What were the key differences between those candidates in the interview? What did they do differently that made the good ones good compared to the ones that didn't interview well?
Right. It's a very good question. And I think the answer might start as a surprise because most of the interviews I've been doing, they weren't that good. I could feel that candidates were not really well prepared, or they were saying things that are considered as red flags on the side of employees. And I truly believe for the reason it's not always that strict and very high level needs that are like, we are looking for a unicorn. Those are things like starting from motivation, really having specific motivation to join this place rather than like location or salary, or I don't know, in terms, in the case, if that's Amazon, just, oh, that's famous company and that's it. Like, I want to work for Amazon. It's good for my resume or LinkedIn profile. Got it. But that shouldn't be what candidates is saying on the job interview, or very generous, general research without like details and really making those answers personalized. And in such a company where they received hundreds of applications and they have thousands of candidates in the recruitment process, candidates have to go beyond. Like, it's only doing them a favor, like themselves doing them a favor if they get really prepared. And it might seem for some candidates, it's something I sometimes read on LinkedIn or other videos, and they will be just like, yeah, but I just want a job. Like, I just want to join any company. And I don't want to be pro big corporations or any like harsh, weird ex-recruiter. But I think if you want any company, then go for any company, because those big companies, they have specific requirements and candidates need to meet them. And that's another way around as well. If candidate is top talent, they also have their expectations, right? Like, it's two-way street. So I think preparation is the first thing, like even motivation. Second thing, it might also be a surprise, but I think attitude. Like, if it's massive difference of being confident and arrogant in their confidence. Being confident is extremely important, as you are always saying about this communication, Sydney. I'm sure you know what it means and how important it is for career development. But at the same time, if it's this arrogant approach of, whatever, I just know everything, but like without showing this genuine interest as well, and like willing to collaborate, it's red flag, because will this person be team player, or will they just want to be appreciated for just how they are right now, and that's it. So there are like many massive differences. I think I didn't experience just going to many interviews and they will be just like, yeah, everyone is good, or everyone. I think that might maybe happen in entry level role if you get candidates that they all don't have experience, but they all are motivated. But if those are more senior roles, people come from different companies, different fields. It's so different.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So much there that I want to dig into. Like, I've already that alone. If I were to stop the interview there, I feel like that would be just so like an immense amount of knowledge. Okay. So what stood out to me is that at this point in the hiring process, what separates candidates in the interview is not necessarily their skills or experience. It's more like the softer things of like their mission, their motivations, their preparation, their confidence. And I assume that's because by the time they get to an interview, they are qualified. They all have the skills, they all have the experience that they need. Is that right? Or are you still evaluating that in the interview?
So first part, 100%. Like, if candidates moved to interviews, that's why I always say to my clients when they are so stressed, they are going for job interviews and they're like, Marta, but am I good enough? Is my experience? I'm like, they chosen you for a job interview. Yeah. They wouldn't waste their time, the money for interviewing you if they were like 100% concerned about if that's a good candidate. But another thing is actually your second part of your question, like evaluating again if those are really the right experiences and skills for the job. Because from resume, it's not always that clear. It seems like, all right, let's say they have team management experience. But what exactly? How many reports were direct? How many indirect? How long they were managing this team? How big was responsibility? Because managing team might mean slightly different things in different companies with different scope, with different complexity in their like systems and operating. So those are definitely things that there will be this dive deep into. And that's why, especially in big tech, those are competency-based questions. So almost all questions are based on your previous experiences. This is another big point, if I may add, it's like mistake or a win, that sometimes when candidate would answer those questions like STAR method or any other similar method, because they are many like variations of STAR for those companies, they would be like giving any examples. And they should be really relevant for the role. Like they should be experiences that the recruiter, when hearing this example, is okay, this is how they will contribute to the company because they already did it in the past.
Okay.
Interview is like job interview is not just interview as a red carpet interview. It's actually not about candidate. It's about how they will contribute to the company.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So I'm writing that down to dig into in a minute. And then, so I want to go back to, so first of all, I love that point about confidence is you can go into the interview with confidence because you are qualified. Like you got the interview. So that can give you some confidence. Okay. So then you also talked about these core pieces of being well prepared, having the right attitude. And then beyond that, it was having a good mission, not just wanting to join because of the salary or the company, but because it aligns with your career goals in some way, giving personalized answers, basically going above and beyond. Like you have to be really prepared and have good examples and so on. So why is that part important? Yeah, I'll stop there. Like, why is it important for the candidate to have that kind of career goal, mission-driven reason for wanting to get that job or do that interview? Why does that make such a big difference in the interview process?
Right. That's a very good question. And I think many candidates are so confused with this part because they feel like, why should I prove it so much? Isn't like my skills, my experiences enough?
Yeah.
And right. It sometimes even may feel like fake. Like, why would I like say I align with their values and like all of that? But on another hand, I can start with something from even like more life in general kind of view, which is very similar, so like career development. So usually when we have our why in whatever we do, it can be about career, but even our personal life. If we know our why, if it's really strong reason, like mission, purpose, whatever, we would find a way to make it true, right? Like we will achieve this goal.
Okay.
So in career is similar. If candidates know their why, if they are very strong of like why they want to work in this company, why they want to have this role, even when they go for promotion again, really why? Besides obviously the salary increase, like how it will change their life. Because if they know their why, they will be 100% committed because there is something deeper in there. And however, like corporations and in general, like employers nowadays are like demonized. And for many discussions, I get a point, actually. It's important topic. But on another hand, it's also like they spend a lot of money on recruitment processes for single one candidate. So if they want to hire someone, which is obviously another cost on it, because it's like their salary and all of that. But even single like alone recruitment process, if candidate that like already shows that they want to be more commitment, more motivation, like what kind of like reassurance they have that this person will really help company grow? Because companies are hiring to grow, right? Like they are not hiring people to just like whatever. They hire because they knew and they need those employees. They most likely want to stay longer period of time, even those companies that have very often rotation. And they, unfortunately, in some cases, they are not so focused on like this like human side. But, and then that will be very harsh what I will say, but it's true in my personal opinion that even in this case, let's say companies hiring someone for senior operations manager role, and then they will close this department after 8 months of their jobs, even less than 1 year, and they fire them. for company, and unfortunately, companies won't think, okay, in case we will, after 6 or 8 months, have to close it because we are struggling, there's inflation, I don't know, changes in economy, we might have to fire then this team. We will take whoever because we just want this person now. No, they think for the time being, we want the best possible employer because they give us money.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's extremely harsh. It's extremely bad thing, but I'm just explaining how it works.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not only from recruiter perspective. I think if we dive deeper into like economy and how those companies work, this is how it is. But on another side, from candidate purpose, because after saying something like this, everyone would probably be like, okay, I would never want to work for any this kind of company. But it's not about taking this perspective like that directly. It's more about, okay, then knowing how it works, knowing really why they need this strong why. How can I do myself a favor and say what they want to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Be authentic self, be real. It's not about lying and making it up and saying, oh, I love technology when someone would never given any interest of it. But at the same time, it's business transaction. We have to be professional. We have to remember it's like we negotiate, right? We choose arguments, and recruitment process interviews are part of negotiating because we are negotiating getting into the company in a way.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, they want someone who is driven
Yeah.
by something. It could be anything, but if you're driven by something, that means you're going to show up every day and you're going to give your best, and not like it's easy to like maybe a person might scoff at that, like, why would I don't care about the company or whatever, but you don't have to be driven by loyalty to the company. It doesn't have to be that. You could have a drive of your own career goals or family or life goals or whatever, and you're driven to achieve those goals through this job. But either way, you're driven by something that where they know every day they're going to get your best, whatever it might be for that day. So that makes sense. Okay. So then how do you demonstrate that in the interview? What was it about a candidate when they were interviewing where you could tell that they had that mission or they had that drive?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there are so many good answers for it. I mean,
Okay.
from candidates to say there is not just one path and one exact saying thing
Okay.
that you will always have to repeat. It should be unique. What I would do, and especially after this focus on senior roles where it's very like high responsibility and very like business, the thing, I would keep it business related. I wouldn't really include too many things of like personal life or like personal ambitions. And those are important. But the truth is they want to hear about them and they want to see how they will be the match for the person for them rather than all the other stuff. So yeah, I would just find things that are genuinely interesting for the person, for candidate. But at the same time, I'm a massive fan of being very professional if it comes to job.
Okay. Okay, so basically find a way to tie your mission to the company's goals. So your what drives you might be something personal, like related to your family or like whatever it is, your life goals, but make sure that you tie that to the company, like something that the company would care about. And that's how you would communicate it. Okay. Is that right? Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, as a general mission, I would 100% agree. As
Okay.
for the interview, but there might be different approaches. Probably depends also on type of company. If it's more like warm culture, but like in reality, not just PR.
Yeah.
Then I guess this personal part, yeah, this can be a winner. In companies with like cold approach, I would get rid of this part because they won't write in their notes that someone
Yeah.
is focused on, I don't know, their hobbies, their family. Unfortunately, many recruiters are extremely biased. They would rather read it as a blocker. It's the same thing with side businesses. People are so afraid of people having side businesses. Well, it helps them be more creative, organized, motivated, having better time management. I can't finish the list of like pros for having side business. But the sad truth is that many recruiters or managers will do things to not approve them because they see it as a distraction. Or many companies sadly wants people to work more than 8 hours, so they don't see value of having side business, or someone who is like, yeah, 6 p.m. I want to be with my family. But here's another thing, because I'm saying a very harsh thing so far.
Well, the truth is the truth. That's all I'm from here.
Exactly. But it's, I would say, another delight part of it all, if someone would be listening to it and be like, oh, that sounds like a nightmare. I exactly, this is what I want. I want 6 p.m. be with family. I want to be clear about it, transparent, and all of that. I want to be able to speak about my hobbies, side businesses, whatever it is. Then the goal is to find a company that supports it.
Yeah.
That's the difference. If we want two different things, then it might be difficult to combine them together. So sometimes it's like, all right, what career is the best for me? That's exactly also what I work with my clients, because many are like, I just want to go and work in the big tech, in the companies, Amazon, Google, and we do it, we make it, they land in these jobs. But I also have candidates who come to me and they are like, look, I was in this public relations agency. I'm so burnt out. Like, PR is extremely stressful. So that makes sense, unfortunately. And they are like, let's work on my next career step, but I might not want to go to corporations since I feel it's quite stressful environment as in general rule. And I'm like, right, then let's make it like career has to be aligned with one's values. It's not just about company name or whatever. Like it has to be all together.
Okay. Yeah. So I totally agree with that. You have to make sure that the company's values align with your values. Otherwise, those disagreements are gonna show up in so many different ways. They might seem the soft values that maybe don't really matter, but that core value that you have or that the company is gonna show up in really like practical decisions that have to be made with a certain project or a task or hiring or whatever it is. And so you really need to make sure that the foundation is the same. And I like, so along those lines, that kind of goes back to the importance of doing research on the company and making sure you understand their values and what they want in a candidate and how they operate and what matters to them, because then you can tailor your answers. So whenever you start talking about what drives you or what you contribute or what you're good at, you're going to be saying things that will pique their interest. They're like, oh, that's what I want to hear. That's what I care about. So it's really important to do that kind of research so that your answers aren't generic and they're like specifically tailored to that company. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. It's even about like rule of being familiar with someone, like psychologically, like if we do a research about who is this recruiter or hiring manager, and again, not fake and like weird way, but like we just add something that is top of their interest. We already build this relationship. We already build different bond. But again, it will be a really massive like thing, depends on the person, because for example, me as a recruiter, I just didn't have time. I would be straight to the point. I genuinely am a people person. But if you have 45 minutes for each interviews and then 100 million different KPIs for your afternoon, you just can't go into what movies you like or whatever, because there's just not space for it. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So then being mission driven, finding a way to tie that to what the company cares about, doing research. Now, another thing that you mentioned that sets the good candidates apart was that they would have confidence, but not be arrogant. So I'm curious, I guess I'll start there. Can you think of like specific, I guess like tangible ways that would manifest itself? Like, how do you differentiate between a person who's confident versus arrogant? For like people that are listening and they're like, well, how can I do that? So what's the difference between those two candidates that makes them confident or arrogant?
That's a very, very good point. I think it's like the way they speak, the way they present themselves, the way they ask questions, the way they explain your salary expectations even, or asking about salary range. if they are referring to other companies that they are recruited for, and that's why they have these salary expectations, that's great. But if they would be, yeah, but for me in this company, I have car, I have this, and even the way we speaks. So it's not just the fact that someone has a car as a benefit, because maybe this company doesn't offer a car, so it's a valid point to include it in their salary expectations, because they will be higher because they will have to pay for their own car, right? But at the same time, the way we speak matters. It's like nonverbal communication, even if it's via phone call or screen, like on-screen interview, sometimes even without video. There is still this body language which we can feel, how fast we speak, which words we use. What is the respect for recruiter? Do someone senior treat them as a recruiter? You're not hiring manager or something. Or is it like, oh, this is decision maker for me right now? If recruiter won't like me, like approve my experience, my professionalism, I won't even have a chance to speak with hiring manager. So those are those different things. And I believe now in a world full of technology, AI, and all of that, soft skills will play even bigger part, because so many things you are doing can be automated. But we as people, our so-called soft skills, our communication, it really can't be. And as a leaders, if someone's going for a manager role, they have to communicate, they have to build trust. In those companies that achieve many successes, and at least the points that it works as it should, they really pay a lot of attention on the communication and the way they deliver messages. They give support. They just operate together. So that would be the main difference. It's not arrogance. I would never call arrogance sharing your successes, proving with numbers, sharing, right? No, this is what they want to hear. This is confidence. And those are facts. But arrogance is some kind of attitude, I would say, rather than typical, answer that I will quote now and be like, oh, don't do it.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like it's something that it will manifest itself. If a person, it's hard to, quantify it or something, but basically confidence versus arrogance, it'll manifest itself. If you are confident, but you're like afraid, like, I don't want to be arrogant or whatever, you're probably not arrogant, and that will come across in the interview. So then can we dive into that? So then how would a person build confidence? Let's say they don't have it yet. How would they build confidence going into the interview so that they can demonstrate that?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I feel like it seems so obvious and everyone is just be confident. And but then the how is like the hard part. And we are not all the same, which makes us special actually as human beings, not only as candidates for jobs. And that's a beautiful thing. So not everyone will be the same kind of extrovert or talkative person naturally, or easy to have small talk and make people like them, because maybe they are first be like distance, and it can build this like cold feeling, right? But the best part about those all communication confidence things is that there can be built. I have to highlight before sharing some kind of tips that even as a career coach who work with people on their confidence, mostly for it's a process. So it mostly doesn't happen overnight. We have to remember about it, because I think that's the demotivating part, because it seems to be confident. And then one person can't be that confident and they feel like, okay, so I just can't be confident. And that's the wrong approach, because confidence is built. It is a process. It's like personal development, even more process than just career development, but with significant impact on career. But I would say as quick way to start to build it is, first of all, really be aware and acknowledge of your achievements, successes, experiences. Write down data. First of all, big tech, that's the best thing ever. They just want to hear data. when even I worked at Amazon, whatever successes or not successes, but just like updates and reports I would share with my manager, with my stakeholders, even with my team, they would be like, okay, but what's data, Mark? Give me data. Like I can't, like, what are you saying? So those companies operate with data, which is the best thing because those are like kind of facts, right? Which we can just like move from rather than our opinions and all of that. So on job interview, data will be crucial to share, but what it makes, it gives just the view. So if you write down your all successes and you're like, I don't know, I had 90% of customer satisfaction rate, or I increased, I don't know, income of this department of 50%. You can't imposter syndrome kind of there and make those successes not be there and be like, oh no, but no, you did it. Like you have number on it, you have data. And then still it can be this imposter syndrome and be like, oh yeah, but it was with the team, or yes, but it was this good time of the year. It was peak season, so you were able to solve it or to do it. Opportunities are one thing, but take ownership of your actions. Because trust me, there is many people who have opportunities, not everyone use it. What they rather do, they make excuses. So they have opportunity, right? And they will be like, okay, but here is why I can't use this opportunity. And they are like, list 100 points of like, why I can't make it still. It can be in job, it can be even in personal life. But this is how confidence is built. Yeah, you might be lucky in the way of having opportunity, but what you do with this is completely another story. And learning to then like understanding how much you had impact as an individual on this goal, on this success, will help you get yourself free of always thinking it was luck. I feel the roles as I know, recruiter because yeah, I was lucky I had those candidates. No, because you build strong and clear branding, because you did sourcing, because you did interviews, because you are constantly learning, developing yourself. This is why you did it. We can explain everything with luck, but it's not really way to go. We won't become arrogant by owning our successes. That's not a risk.
Yeah. So one thing I always say about imposter syndrome is it just means you haven't met enough people yet. Because the more people you meet, you will be able to have like real life, a real life, what's the word? Like a standard or a baseline. You'll have a baseline that's founded in reality for where you are. Because otherwise in your head, you might think, oh, well, everyone knows how to do that. Or everyone would have been able to get those results, or that's something that everyone would have done. But as you meet more people and you work with more people, you can base it on reality. Oh, not everyone knows that, or not everyone would do that same thing that I just thought of. And so that's all imposter syndrome is. You just got to meet people. And as you work with more people, you'll start to see like where you belong and what your skill level is. And I think so in the meantime, I like the point that you're making of just accept the achievement for what it is. And then your confidence can be based on a truth. Like the truth is you did this thing and you got this result, and that's it. Don't make any other assumptions about what could have or would have or someone else or whatever. Your achievement is the truth, and you can have confidence in that. Easier said than done, but that's kind of like a quick way to get there.
Yeah, and it's brilliant, Sine. I love how you said it. And also, I never ever heard someone be like, oh yeah, but did you do it alone? Who said it? Like, have you ever heard something like that? Yeah. Like I never ever heard this kind of situation in my life. I mean, it's different when you are around, but probably mostly it's like with your colleagues already or toxic friends. I don't wish it to anyone, but I'm just saying like people who are insecure by your success, they would always minimize it. Even your manager can do it. Unfortunately, there are many still that they will like just calling your work aspirations your passions, for example. Like little tweak that can already make you feel like, oh, okay, it's just my hobby, it's just my passions, just whatever. But it's not on job interviews. It's not for those purposes. And always, also, again, even if people do it, it always comes from their insecurities. It's not like constructive criticism of being like, all right, but but I don't know, something like, I can't even make an example because it's ridiculous. If you've done it, you've done it. That's it. No one who is more successful will doubt in you.
Yeah. So this is one thing I always remind myself of, that there are certain truths, and if a person's opinion is not based on the truth, maybe they believe something that is not true, or they don't have all the information, or wrong motivations, or whatever. If their opinion is not based on the truth, then their opinion is irrelevant. And not like in a mean way, but it's just your opinion isn't based on having all of the information, so it's irrelevant. Like it just is. And so if you know the truth of something you achieved and someone thinks something else because they don't have all the information or they don't believe the truth, their opinion is irrelevant. Like the facts are the facts. And so that can help you like to get away from people who might be, or even yourself, you might be the one tearing yourself down, but just focus on like the truth and what happened and have confidence in that. Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
So then, okay, so along these lines of like confidence, let's say a person doesn't just doesn't have that, but they are really qualified. They have all of the skills, they have the experience, they have the the measurable results that are, relevant to the job, but they're just like they're not confident, and you can tell they're like struggling. Basically, they just don't interview well. Does that like immediately disqualify them from the role, or do recruiters understand that? How do y'all handle that?
That's a very, very good question. And I think it goes with maybe not the favorite word for giving answers, but with a big depend.
Okay.
Because if it goes for, let's say, entry-level role, and someone shares all of those experiences, even if those are only university kind of experiences, and skills maybe from volunteering, from, I don't know, additional projects with friends after school, whatever. And they share them, but they are like, they don't have this attitude, this energy, like that might still go through. But if they are a leader, if they are a manager, they are supposed to lead and inspire others, coach them, motivate them, require from them, right? Like their team success is their success at the end of the day. They have to serve for their team. And they are not confident. Well, that might be a problem,
That's
right?
a problem. Yeah.
But I think it's so easily solvable beside all the things I said with the process. And obviously when you want to dive really deep into this confidence and really like, but even if you are before interview and feel like, all right, but how I'm not this energy person, just change your body language. Start from there. When we stand straight, when we put hand up, when we just smile, when we let ourselves use our hands, the little gesticulation kind of the thing, little more of the movement, we send signal to our brain that we are confident.
Yeah.
And there is the thing, all the neuroplasticity of the brain. I don't like saying this statement of, yeah, but I'm not confident. You are not until you choose it. We all have our journey from personal. I can very quickly share the very fun fact because I feel like everyone, like from at least they are telling me, everyone would always be like, Marta, but like you are so confident. You are this like more like loud and full of alert person, look like never have bad days. I have more than I could even count, as we all have, because you're human beings. What's more, I had the phases in my life I will be, I don't know, stressed to go out and buy grocery in different language when I was in Spain or something, because I felt like getting out of my comfort zone and it's like scary and I don't know how. And how should I behave? What if I say something silly? We are not that confident as we seem to be. Let's start from there. So that's the best tip for confidence, because if the person who believes is not confident, doesn't have this energy, is just shy and can't do it, and you see those old people in social media on the stage and you were like, they never struggle, they are just charismatic, they are just confident. No, it's not like they are just like that. We are born different. Yes, some people are born this energy, some that, but it's really not like 100% of those people were just like that. They just worked on it. And it's nothing bad about being different and not being the same confident. We don't all have to be loud. I mean, world would be freaking terrible if we were actually. But at the same time, it's this healthy confidence from within. I'm not saying confidence how others see us and everything. It's confidence of believing in ourselves and trusting in ourselves, in taking ownership of our successes. If we would forever say, yes, but to me, it comes so hard to say I'm good in something. It will always be if you keep speaking this one. It's like affirmation you say every single day to yourself. But if you and it will be uncomfortable, it will be weird at first when you will be like, I achieved this. I made it. I own it. But then the more you normalize it, the more you realize that, yes, you did, and that's fine, the easier it will come. And it's game changer for career, trust me. I think confidence is one of the most important things, but confidence in a real meaning, not on being just loud or fun, or that's not confidence, is our confidence within.
Yeah, I love that phrase, to normalize it. And you're normalizing it to yourself. You have to normalize like saying something you did and then just stopping there and not like making concessions or, well, but actually this or that or whatever. Yeah. And I think, so I'll share like my personal experience. One thing that, like the saying, fake it till you make it, that's exactly what I did basically, because I was never a confident person. And even now I struggle with it. I've just learned how to manage it, I guess. But whenever I wanted to start working on it, what I did is I looked at people who I believed were confident, and I looked at how they spoke, like their tone of voice, the volume of their voice. I looked at their gestures and how they would gesture, their body language, basically like all of the physical manifestations of confidence, and what I could pick out about what I thought, like how I could tell they were a confident speaker. And then I would just copy that. And I might not have been confident inside, but I would mimic that tone of voice and the gestures and their body language and the way that they would move and talk. And so I was able to like manifest that confidence, even though I didn't really have it. And then over time, it just became the way that I spoke, and I did eventually become confident, along with the other things of owning your achievements, normalizing it. I love that, like normalizing it to yourself. So there's the internal part of it that you have to work on, but the external part is just like doing it, acting that way, even if you don't feel that way, and eventually it will become just the way that you behave. That's what worked for me. I don't know if that works for everyone, but I just did it. I just did it right there, where I shared something that works in an achievement, and then I immediately discounted it by saying maybe that doesn't work for everyone. So there you go. I'm still working on it.
No, but you're doing great, Sydney. I love it. I think that should be like a quote on the wall. And obviously it works the same for everyone, because it's again the same. We send signals this way, even unconsciously, to our brain.
Yeah.
So our brain is already, okay, I'm safe. Okay, I'm confident. Okay, I'm this and that. So even if you didn't feel it yet, like you will feel it. And
yeah.
No, that's perfect way to go. I love it. I adore this method and how you made it for yourself.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, it works. Yeah. Okay, so let me see. I had a few other okay, so let's go to the other extreme. So you have people who have like absolutely nailed the interview, but then someone who just absolutely bombs the interview. What are those things? What makes someone just absolutely do a horrible job? What are the things that a person should definitely avoid doing in an interview?
Right. This is a really, really great question. So I would say, starting obviously from all of this attitude, motivation, and all of that, then extremely important thing is really, really sharing things that, again, how will contribute to the company. I think that's why it's so difficult to prepare for interviews, because we hear those generic rules and tips all around. So we are, on one hand, all aware of how it should be, because there are a few simple steps. You prepare, you share this, you learn that, you say those things. But why it's so difficult is because for each role, for each position, for each person, it would be completely different. And the real preparation for a job interview, unless someone is, I don't know, how experienced in doing those interviews, again, not in arrogant way, but genuinely they're good at it and they are just know already their data and all of that. And then it takes time. Then it requires time and very personal approach, preparation, like how this experience contributes to this role, how I can answer for that role, that need that it's in this role, in this job. There are so many tricky things that before we dive deeper into, make it really difficult to prepare from like general tips. I see that a lot also like when working with my clients. So I would always like send them questions to answer. And then we go through them together, just not waste time on the session. So they already have to make the hard work. Like, what's the data? What did they do? How did I do it? And all of that. And then when I review them, I'm like, right, but maybe we need another example. Maybe we need this example, but for different skill highlight. Like there are so many details. It's so personal how we nail interview. But this solid preparation is definitely the key thing.
Okay. So basically, like when a person is not prepared, you can tell, and you're just kind of like not interested because I'm assuming that'll manifest and maybe even like they don't even have good answers prepared, like they're stumbling through it, but also the answers they do give just aren't relevant. They're giving examples that aren't relevant, or you can tell that they don't know anything about the product or the company. Basically, it's like someone who has just showed up and they're just there, but not ready. They haven't prepared themselves mentally to do a good job in that interview. Is that kind of, does it really just come to a lack of preparation and how that will show?
Correct, 100%. It can be the best candidate. But if they don't prepare, it won't guarantee them a thing. Even next interview, I'm not even saying job offer. Job offer might be impossible in this case completely because because that's the attitude. That's what companies want. It speaks about the way they work, about how they are committed. If they have all the experiences, but they don't know and they were aware, let's say, if they knew they will answer with star method and they don't follow this structure, I mean, then how they will follow any other rule in their job if they can't even prepare with simple situation, task, action, result method? I mean, obviously it's more difficult than it sounds, but comparing to, leading team, managing KPIs, achieving results, budgeting, it's not that difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically you need to prepare for the interview, like period, bottom line.
Yeah.
Never go into an interview like just, oh, I have a job interview, but you need to spend time preparing for that interview because they are evaluating you in every way. They're evaluating your skills, your experience, your drive, your work ethic, your communication. Like they are evaluating everything. And so you need to pay attention to everything and try to do a good job in everything because they're evaluating it. Okay, so then last few minutes, so you were talking earlier about when you give examples, make sure that they're relevant to the role. You were talking about using the STAR method whenever you're like explaining those examples. What's an easy way to determine what examples are relevant to the role? Because say it's marketing. Well, like marketing is marketing. I'm going to share my marketing achievements. How do I know which ones are relevant to the role?
I think in this case, as you said, marketing and the job is marketing, that's simple as that. We don't need to make it any more difficult. I think the difficulty starts if someone had some role changes, various experiences, and they are going, let's say, for role in account manager, and their current role is key account manager, and they previously worked in marketing. And they are sharing two examples from marketing, one example from the key account manager role, and then another example from back in their social media manager job. It won't work. I mean, it might if they extremely nail example and if there is a reason behind, because maybe in marketing they were selling as well. maybe you're building this kind of strategy. Like marketing is not always that different from sales in specific parts, but in general, it should be highlighting similar things.
Yeah.
If it's sales, it's sales. If it's marketing, it's marketing. But be conscious about it. Yeah.
Okay. So just like really specific to the job. Say with marketing, you might have done like social media marketing, email marketing, paid ads and stuff. And if you're interviewing for social media marketing, give your social media examples, not the other stuff, because it's just not relevant. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, that's simple. Okay, so this was so helpful. So much great information and advice in here. Please share where people can find you online or the best way to connect with you. You also do coaching, which it sounds like you would be able to give an immense amount of help. So how can people connect with you?
Right. Thank you so much, Sydney, first of all, because it was such an interesting conversation. So you can find me everywhere, like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube by Hello, it is Marta. Then my LinkedIn by my name and surname, that is Marta Budzyńska. And you can as well subscribe to my Spotify podcast, that is Hello, it is Marta, your personal coach. And yeah, definitely, I'm supporting my clients in their mid to senior career, mainly to get into big tech companies. So as companies we spoke about today, it's like Amazon, Google, Mars, but also many different jobs, different goals. So yeah, definitely happy to see your DMs.
Okay, so if you're listening, I'll put the links to, so your social links and the podcast, I'll put that in the show notes. And then in the video, I'll have the lower text there that where people will be able to find you. So thank you so much. This was really great. Thank you for your time. Yeah, thanks for sharing your advice.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. And it was really inspiring to speak with you and learn about your experiences as well.
Awesome. Thank you.